Well, then we'll skip to the next match, which I'm sure you loved because it was your girl, Jane Cargill, beating up Nicole Matthews in a stellar contest that I managed to avoid completely. But at the finish of it, or after the finish of it, here comes Taya Valkyrie. And people had thought, oh, she's going to be the surprise Canadian challenger. And instead, it was Nicole Matthews from Winnipeg, I guess. I don't know. But at least Taya comes out. She comes face to face with Jane. She looks great. They jaw jack a little bit. She gives Layla Gray, who's the stooge, the baddie now for Jane, she gives her Jane's faceplant finish. I didn't understand why Jane walked out of the ring and then looked back and saw Taya Valkyrie give her friend and stooge her own finish and was laughing at her. Didn't seem to mind. But thankfully, I've always been a fan from what I've seen of Taya Valkyrie shit. She got a Raw deal as Frankie Monet in NXT when she was interesting there for about a month until whatever the fuck they did. She's not one of these girls that seems like she tries to do shit she can't do. She looks great. She can talk. And, and she's got some experience. So let's see how many weeks it takes them to screw this up now. To be honest with you, I don't know what this fucking win streak is for unless they think Mildred Burke's coming back from the dead. What kind of level female star do they have to sign to not come in and just beat Jane? It's, 54-0 or whatever, and it's been 3 years.
It's like they have two different women's divisions. There's the women's division with Jade Cargill, and then there's everyone else. She does her own thing over here, and then everyone else is running around, bopping around, doing nothing. The match was fine for what it was. It was a squash win. I will say, Layla Gray is one of the best-looking women in all of wrestling. There's got to be a better way to use her. Because she has personality and charisma, and she's really good-looking. But they use her like this. Taya Valkyrie, again, I'm not going to judge her as a wrestler or anything here. We didn't see her do anything. They announced she's going to be on Rampage. What a debut that is.
Oh, geez, I didn't even actually hear that.
But at this point, again, I know I'm in the minority, although it's a growing minority. Investing more money in this women's division just doesn't seem like a wise move. Nothing is working. Every segment that's part of the women's division, the only ones that you could say, are different are Jade's, actually. Every segment is terrible.
Well, because Jade's are only, a 1 minute match and pose. Yeah. Usually. But here, that's what I'm saying. What is the win streak for? What level of star do they have to sign to come in and just beat her?
Yeah, who's going to get over by beating Jade? Because no one on the roster is the right person right now. You would agree with that, right?
Yes, and that's why I thought, to be quite honest with you, what would have happened if she'd have been in the ring and said there's no woman from Canada that can beat me, and Taya Valkyrie's from Canada, and out she comes and she beats her. What would that have harmed business-wise for AEW or Jane Cargill? Then she'd be 54-1.
But again,
and then you'd have started a program.
You know who Taya Valkyrie is. I think by and large wrestling fans don't, unless you're a hardcore fan.
That's the point.
And you have these commentators, and we can talk about that later, who are just doing an abysmal job. For as bad as Shivani is, and Shivani is as useless as you could possibly be as a commentator on a major show, Excalibur is beyond awful. I know there's fans out there that like him because he calls all the moves. If you think Excalibur and his style of commentary is conducive to getting people to pay attention to the show, listen to the show, and not tune out the show, you're missing the point. He is as counterproductive a lead commentator as there's ever been. So now you have these goofs on commentary who have to explain how this woman, who we've never seen before on this show, who if you watch major wrestling on a national basis, you may have seen with a different name on NXT. All of a sudden she comes out, she has an entrance. We're told, oh my God, here she is. You'll see her on Rampage. That's it. None of this made any sense. This was horrible.
That's what I'm saying. And they don't have to be able, the announcers don't have to be able to get the new talent over if the new talent is allowed to get over. And that's what I'm saying. And it's the same thing that Dusty Rhodes did with the Rock and Roll Express when he brought him to work for Jim Crockett. Even and I know people, many of them were not alive when everybody didn't know who the Rock and Roll Express was, but the people in Louisiana had seen them and the Mid-South Territory, but the Carolinas hadn't. And the Russians, Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev and Nikita Koloff, whichever pairing of the three of them, had been dominant world tag team champions and undefeated. And the Rock and Roll come in and get a title match with them the first night. They beat them. And the people went crazy. Now, of course, they had a great match for 15 minutes or whatever. But in this case, if you'd have brought Taya Valkyrie out, accepted the Canadian challenge, the announcers obviously should know who she is because she's supposed to be somebody. But they were, my God, has she signed with AEW? We didn't even know she was here, that kind of thing. Holy mackerel, and do a 2-minute flurry, if that, and have Taya faceplant that fucking Jane Cargill 1, 2, 3 and roll out and get her hand up on the floor and leave the ring to Jane and her baddie to bitch, and you've made a new female fucking star, and you didn't do a goddamn thing to hinder the Cargill reputation because all she's doing now every week is just beating up fucking job girls anyway. Then you might actually have a money-drawing women's match that you could put on a next pay-per-view or ratings for television or whatever with Jane and Taya in a rematch and give them more time or what. Maybe that might be counterproductive, but maybe Taya could get Jane through it. Whatever the case, but make something out of it. Is she just going to come out and beat? Is it going to be 100-0? This is not Goldberg. Nobody's buying a ticket to see this. Nobody's tuning in the show to see if Jane Cargill beats Nicole Matthews this week.
Yeah, no, instead they have someone show up who's never been there before, and the announcer's fawn over her like we're supposed to have any idea what the hell they're talking about. Oh my God, it's Taya Valkyrie all over the world. Oh yeah, this is great. This is so great. I'm so happy to be here. It's the worst. I'm serious. The commentary on this show, and I hate to put Taz down because I like Taz, but I think Taz is someone that he has to be with the right people. Otherwise, it turns into too much of a goof show. But Shivani and Excalibur together are as counterproductive a lead commentary team as you could possibly have. And I know it's going to flip people out who love Excalibur. He is the single most counterproductive lead commentator, even more than Michael Cole in all of wrestling. And I think that's something AEW probably down the road should address. You need lead commentators on these shows that fans actually want to hear. Because we've actually been seeing more and more feedback recently from people like, oh, I watched AEW with my wife or girlfriend, whatever. I forget what the email was I saw the other day. And they immediately had a problem with the commentator. Why is he talking like that? It's a geek. It's a geek.
We've been asking that for 4 years. It's the geek basement audience that used to do commentary over their VHSs and later their DVDs.
It's a talentless, soft geek doing the same geeky shit that he did for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which matters nothing to the wide world of wrestling.
Well, you know what, then? Now you've got me. Brian, I'm so morose over Taya Valkyrie's chances of coming in here and making a difference. Maybe instead of AEW, she should get out of wrestling and start a small business.
Small business? Like what?
Well, any kind, there's dozens and hundreds, even thousands of small businesses around the country that you would never hear about and never see their products if it weren't for our friends at Box of Awesome. And so now if Taya Valkyrie was to start one of these small businesses, that the Box of Awesome people go around and they pick things and they curate collections to give to their customers. Somebody could see Taya Valkyrie's products and she could be propelled into the upper echelon of the business world. She could be right up there with Beyonce and all the business dealings that she does, the fashion lines and the perfume and old Paris Hilton. Didn't she have some kind of imitation stank she was selling?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, whatever it is, well, if Taya Valkyrie made something, I'm sure the people at Box of Awesome would love to put it in their box. Because that's one of the cool things, folks, about signing up for this unique opportunity from our friends at Bespoke Post is the monthly arrival of your Box of Awesome. Whatever's in the box, it's going to be awesome because you picked what you like. What you do is you go to boxofawesome.com and you take the quiz because they want to know what you're interested in. And then you get suggestions and you come up with boxes. I mean, they've got I got the Weekender, right? The incredible travel bag with the metal hardware, the reinforced frame, the quality leather handles and straps. It's fashioned after an old stonemason's tool bag. And I'm carrying my tool bags in it. And they've got knives, they've got barbecue rubs, they've got hot sauces, they've got all kinds of items for all kinds of interests. And when you get this box, each box valued at around $70, you pay a fraction of that, a minute portion, a little sliver, just a drava, and you're supporting all the small businesses because 90% of everything that comes into your box or in your box to you, I guess it wouldn't come into your box. Well, they do put the things in your box.
But it arrives to you in the box.
If you'd like some of these things inserted in your box, then 90% of it's from a small up-and-coming brand. And it's free to sign up for. You can skip a month. You can cancel anytime. What you do, you go to boxofawesome.com. Like I said, take the quiz and enter the code DRIVE at checkout. And you're going to save 20% off your first monthly box. Boxofawesome.com, code DRIVE for 20% off your first box. And I mean, look at the hot sauces. They got Texas hot sauce, Nevada hot sauce, California hot sauce. They've got the American barbecue rub in the carnivore box. See, that's the genre, the carnivore. If you're a carnivore, you like to eat meat. So you need barbecue rub.
If I could say one thing, I've noticed one thing that we've recently seen. We have a growing female audience, surprisingly, with these shows. And Suzanne actually now gets a Box of Awesome. So this is something not just for men. There's lots of good things for women, too.
Well, what's in Suzanne's box?
Mind your business.
Hey! I mean, is that frilly and lacy things?
How dare you?
Well, I'm sure it's tailored to a female perspective somehow.
That's right.
So it's probably some motor oil to change the fucking oil in the car with.
Well, she got
what
some
you've
cool
usually
stuff.
got her doing.
No, she's got some cool stuff. There was some stuff for her desk. Of course, she has a nice knife now as part of her collection. But
watch out for that. Don't go to sleep.
She likes that Weekender bag. I will say that.
Yeah, she likes it, especially if you're not there for the weekend.
Hey.
I remember the last time that you came home and said, honey, you know what we got to do? We got to go out tonight on the town. We got to get drunk. We got to whoop it up. And she said, that sounds great. You said, good. Where are you going? But anyway, boxofawesome.com. Use the code DRIVE at checkout for 20% off your first box of awesome there at the .com.
At the .com.
Alrighty.
At the .com?
At the .com.
Box of Awesome.
Okay. So